2022. I know that this is like the nth time you've done this today, but give yourselves a round of applause. Now, I know most of you, I can tell from your faces, you're like checked out at this point, done with high school, ready to be like over this speech is the final boss between high school and your freedom. So don't worry, and they're done that. We're gonna try to be short with Antoine. So my name is Clement Mihailescu, this is Antoine Porcher. We both graduated 10 years ago, class of 2012, which seems absurd to say to me because that means that I'm 10 years older than you. I feel like I'm in tune with Gen Z, or whatever you guys are at this point. But yes, 10 years ago, crazy. All that being said, we're thrilled to be here, to be giving this speech. And in classic graduation speech fashion, we're gonna try to impart on you a couple of nuggets of wisdom that we've accumulated over the last decade. And hopefully you guys can learn from them, apply them, follow in our wise footsteps. That's what we're telling ourselves. And that's the goal. Now, quick expectation setting before I pass it on to Antoine. If you're expecting that with double the speaker, you're gonna get like double the fun, double the wisdom, double the humor, spoiler alert, it's more gonna be like double the boredom, or double the cringe with Antoine, but hopefully it will still be entertaining. All that being said, kidding aside, Antoine, why don't you share the first nugget of wisdom?
Hi there. Yeah, I guess that's the unavoidable transition when you ask two people to give the same speech, but here we are, so let's just get right into it. My nugget of wisdom has to do with friendships, and yeah, I know it's a little bit corny, but just hear me out. Clement and I met in the 6th grade, which was a long time ago now, and we were friends through middle and high school, and it was amazing, but we never imagined really where our friendship would take us. So the long story short is that now, these days, I run a company with Clement, and Simon, another best friend of ours from our FASNY days. And we've known each other for over 10 years at this point. We've actually known each other since we were 10 years old, and I did not speak English at the time, and neither did Simon. So to think that for so long we've remained so close and are now business partners is a little crazy. I could never have imagined that when I was in your shoes. And you can imagine that we'll remain friends for possibly a lifetime, possibly until we are boomers. Unless we're already boomers at this point, because I know the term is different.
I'm 27, so I don't think I'm a boomer yet. You're 28, so maybe 28? 28's the cutoff.
It's definitely too late for me. But luckily, one of the best things that we did after FASNY was keeping that friendship going, right? We went to different universities in different states. When we got our first jobs out of college, we were 3,000 miles away, but we sort of made little efforts here and there every week, or sometimes every day, to keep in touch. So when Clement had the idea to start a business together, the team formed very naturally. We sort of knew how to get started, and the team had such a strong foundation with over a decade of trust built in from those FASNY years in particular. So we were ready to face any and all challenges that were going to be thrown at us in this new adventure that took place about 5 years ago now. So why exactly, how does this apply to you? Well, you look around and you see good school friends, but you might not realize that these friendships could change your lives meaningfully forever. So my piece of advice to you is this: nurture those friendships and those bonds, because it's my belief that FASNY fosters incredibly strong relationships with one another, partly because of the small classes that we have, partly because it's a really difficult curriculum, but also because it's a really tight-knit setting where you guys all know each other so well. So these friendships can definitely last a lifetime. And with that, that's my advice for you, so Clement will give you his.
Right, should we do another awkward transition? So I definitely couldn't agree more with Antoine's piece of advice. Really let it resonate with you. The friendships are super important. My piece of advice or nugget of wisdom is a little bit more relevant to you at the individual level. And the idea is that, especially in this day and age, you should not be afraid to reinvent yourself, both in the context of your career and just in your life in general. At any time, whether it's right now, after high school, or during college, after whatever you do post-high school, later on in your life, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. In other words, don't let your current self define your future self. Okay? Now, to demonstrate what I mean, I'm going to share with you my little story. 10 years ago, I was in your shoes, sitting awkwardly listening to annoying speeches, and I remember I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. None whatsoever, except this vague notion of entrepreneurship, like, I want to be an entrepreneur, whatever that meant. But so, no idea what I wanted to do, yet what I did know was that I wouldn't be afraid to take risks, to try new things, to reinvent myself, to fail, to fall flat on the floor. And so in college, I jumped from major to major. At one point, I was going to study visual studies. At one point, I was going to study economics, then mathematical economics. Then I ditched the economics altogether and settled on mathematics. That's what I did. Antoine apparently wanted to be a physics major. Then he decided to go with the easier science, that is computer science, and perhaps a more well-paying one. I tried many entrepreneurial endeavors. I tried a YouTube channel about weightlifting. I tried to stream on twitch.tv video games. Both didn't really go anywhere, but I tried. That's the point. And then after college, I, yet again, decided to reinvent myself, following Antoine's footsteps, and learn how to code. And I went to a coding boot camp, and that, to date, has probably been the best decision that I made, because it is the thing that allowed me to basically get a very great job as a software engineer at big tech companies after college, to found this company with Antoine that we now run, which is, revolves around coding and has grown beyond our wildest imagination, and all that because I reinvented myself. So, how does that apply to you? Like Antoine said earlier for his point, well, you guys can reinvent yourself at any time. And you have two reasons, probably more, but two, for which you really can reinvent yourselves. The first one ties back to FASNY. You guys have a very strong foundation of a multidisciplinary education here at FASNY. And I know this kind of sounds like eye-roll worthy college marketing buzzwords, but think about it. Trilingual curriculum, very difficult classes, bac brun after bac brun every week, like 4 hours of philosophy discussions. I don't know if Madame Sakinis is in the audience, but we remember the torture. But you see, that torture, though, allows you to then actually, tackle difficult problems in life. Like, once you've gone through a 4-hour philo dissert, you can, do other things that might seem daunting, but aren't actually that daunting next to that. And the second thing is that, in this day and age, education is super accessible, super abundant. You've got Google, everything's a Google search away, YouTube, free education. If you're a software engineer, shameless marketing plug, you can check our company, AlgoExpert. And also, speaking of LT connection, all you need is an LT connection or the confidence to ask someone for a hotspot, and you can find any answer you need online. So don't be afraid to reinvent yourself and take some risks. Someone said take risks. I second that. Antoine, any other nuggets of wisdom you want to share?
Yeah. So we would have gone on maybe a little further, but they told us to avoid making this too long for the Gen Z people and their attention span. So anyway,
you guys look awake. You guys follow this speech, right? Okay, maybe not. Maybe they're not awake.
All jokes aside, we do wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors, and remember, foster those friendships, and don't hesitate to take risks, and don't hesitate to reinvent yourselves. We are certain that you'll achieve whatever you set your minds to. And with that, congratulations. Awesome.